Before we begin, I want to say thank you to every single one of you. I truly value each viewer and I read every comment you leave. Your stories, your experiences, and the pieces of your lives you share with me mean more than you know. I feel your emotions. I respect your journeys and I'm grateful that you trust me with them. And as always, by tradition, please share in the comments where you're listening to our stories from. I'm genuinely curious and truly love reading every response. My daughter's husband and his father shoved her off a cliff at their private ski resort in Colorado. She was 3 months pregnant. I watched her disappear over the edge into a ravine 200 feet deep. They turned to me, brushed snow off their gloves, and said she'd lost control on the slope. Just an unfortunate accident. 40 minutes later, ski patrol found her wedged between two rocks, barely breathing. Her legs shattered in 4 places. I walked into the ski lodge, pulled out my phone, and called my brother. I said 5 words. Find everything. Destroy them both. The morning started like any other February weekend at Blackstone Summit, the Harrington family's private resort in Aspen. I'm Arthur, 67 years old, a retired civil engineer who spent 4 decades building bridges, not navigating the dangerous terrain of old money families. I'm not a man who raises his voice or makes scenes. I raised my daughter Sarah alone after my wife died of cancer when Sarah was 12. I taught her to be honest, to see the good in people, to trust. I taught her wrong. Sarah had married Derek Harrington 3 years earlier. He was a real estate developer, the kind of man who wore $1,000 ski jackets and talked about property portfolios over breakfast. His father was Marcus Harrington, owner of Harrington Properties, a commercial real estate empire worth over $300 million. Marcus was the kind of man who shook hands with governors and had senators on speed dial. I'd met him twice before the wedding. Both times, something in his eyes made my skin crawl. Too calculating, too cold. But Sarah loved Derek, or believed she did, and I kept quiet. What father wants to tell his daughter she's making the biggest mistake of her life? That weekend, we were the only guests at Blackstone Summit. Marcus had closed the resort for family time, which really meant showing off to his son's in-laws. The resort sat at 11,000 feet, pristine powder, private slopes, a lodge that looked like it belonged in a luxury magazine. Sarah and I had arrived Friday night. She'd pulled me aside before dinner and told me she was pregnant. Her smile was nervous, hopeful. I told Derek this morning, she said. He seemed surprised. Happy surprised? I asked. She hesitated just a fraction too long. I think so. He said he needed to talk to his father about something first, about timing. That hesitation stayed with me through dinner, through the small talk about real estate markets and skiing conditions. I watched Derek and Marcus across the table. They kept exchanging glances, the kind of silent communication that happens between people who share secrets. Around 9 that evening, I saw Derek show his father something on his phone. Marcus read it, his jaw tightening. He looked at Sarah, then looked away quickly. I didn't sleep well that night. Saturday morning dawned crystal clear, the kind of bluebird day skiers dream about. Marcus insisted we all take the first run together, just family. The 4 of us rode the private lift to the summit. Sarah sat next to me, quiet. Derek and Marcus were ahead of us, their heads close together, talking in voices too low to hear. "Dad," Sarah said softly, "can I ask you something? Anything. If you found out something about Derek, something bad, would you tell me even if it hurt?" My chest tightened. "What did you find out?" She shook her head. "Nothing concrete, just a feeling. The way he's been acting since I told him about the baby. Like I've ruined something." I squeezed her hand. "We'll talk after the run. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out." We reached the top. The view was stunning. Endless mountains under impossible blue sky. The temperature was about 15 degrees, wind cutting across the exposed ridge. Marcus led us to the start of a black diamond run called Devil's Drop. I'd skied it the day before. It was steep, narrow, with a sharp turn about 50 yards down that opened onto a cliff edge. Go too wide on that turn, you'd go straight over into a ravine. "This is too advanced for Sarah," I said. She was a decent intermediate skier, nothing more. "Nonsense," Marcus said. "Derek will guide her. Won't you, son?" Derek nodded, not meeting my eyes. "Stay close to me, honey. I'll talk you through it." Something felt wrong. The way Marcus was standing, too casual, too relaxed. The way Derek kept adjusting his goggles even though they were already fine. The way neither of them was looking at Sarah directly. "I don't like this," I said. "Mr. Patterson?" Marcus turned to me with that practiced smile. "You're not questioning my knowledge of my own resort, are you? I've skied this run 1,000 times. Sarah will be perfectly safe." Sarah touched my arm. "It's okay, Dad. I trust Derek." That's what terrified me. She trusted them. Derek went first, carving smooth turns. "Follow my line exactly," he called back to Sarah. She pushed off, following him. I went next, staying close. Marcus brought up the rear. The first 30 yards were fine. Then we approached the crucial turn, the one that required you to cut hard left or risk the cliff. I saw Derek make his turn, tight and controlled. Sarah started to follow his line. Then Derek stopped. Just stopped, right in the middle of the narrow passage, blocking the safe route. Sarah had to swerve to avoid hitting him. She tried to slow down, her skis scraping, but she was already too far right, heading straight toward the drop-off. "Derek, move!" I screamed. He didn't move. Sarah's eyes went wide as she realized she was going over. She tried to dig in her edges, but she was going too fast on ice. I pushed off hard, trying to reach her, but I was too far back. I saw her go over the edge, saw her disappear. The sound she made, that scream cutting off suddenly, that sound will haunt me until the day I die. I skidded to a stop at the cliff edge, looked down. 200 feet of jagged rocks and ice. I could see a splash of red against white snow, far below. Sarah's jacket. "Sarah!" I screamed into the void. "Sarah, can you hear me?" Silence except for the wind. I turned on Derek. He was taking off his goggles, his face pale but his hands steady. Too steady. "Oh my God," he said, but his voice was flat. She lost control. I tried to warn her about that turn. "You stopped right in front of her," I said. My voice was shaking. "You blocked her path." "I stopped because I thought I heard something crack," Derek said. "My binding." I was checking my equipment. Marcus skied up beside us. "What happened?" "Sarah went over," Derek said. I tried to help her, but she panicked and overcorrected. I grabbed Derek's jacket. "You stopped deliberately. I saw you." Marcus put a hand on my shoulder. I shoved it off. "Get away from me." "Mr. Patterson, I understand you're upset, but we need to get help. Derek, call ski patrol. I'll go down the service road and see if I can reach her from below." I pulled out my phone, called 911 myself, told them we had a skier over a cliff, gave them our location. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. "Is anyone going down to help her?" the dispatcher asked. "I can't," I said, my voice breaking. "I can't climb down that. The rocks, the ice. I'll fall too." But even as I said it, the guilt crushed me. My daughter was down there dying, and I was standing up here doing nothing. The ski patrol arrived in 12 minutes. It felt like 12 hours. They rappelled down with ropes and medical equipment. I stood at that cliff edge the entire time, calling Sarah's name until my throat was raw. Derek and Marcus had gone back to the lodge, said they were calling their lawyers and insurance company. I heard Derek telling someone on the phone that it was a tragic accident, that Sarah had ignored his warnings about her skill level. I wanted to push him off that same cliff. After 30 minutes, one of the ski patrol radioed up. "We've got her. She's alive. Unconscious, significant trauma, but she's got a pulse. We need flight for life, now." They brought her up in a rescue basket. I barely recognized her. Her face was gray, streaked with blood. Her left leg bent at an angle that made my stomach turn. She wasn't moving, wasn't making any sound. "Is she going to make it?" I asked the medic. "We're doing everything we can. She's got a fractured skull, compound fracture of the femur, possible spinal injuries. The helicopter's landing now. We'll get her to Denver Trauma Center. I'm going with her." "Sir, there's only room for medical personnel. You'll need to drive. It's about 90 minutes. I looked at Sarah's still form being loaded onto a stretcher. Every instinct screamed at me to stay with her. But I also knew if I left now, Derek and Marcus would control what happened next. They'd make this disappear. I turned to the ski patrol supervisor. This wasn't an accident. Derek Harrington deliberately blocked her path and forced her over that cliff. I saw it happen. The supervisor looked uncomfortable. "Sir, that's a serious accusation. Mr. Harrington says she lost control." "Mr. Harrington is lying. We'll include your statement in our report. Right now, let's focus on getting your daughter to the hospital." I watched the helicopter lift off, taking Sarah away. Then I pulled out my phone and called the one person I knew could help, my brother James. We hadn't spoken in almost 3 years, not since a fight about our mother's estate that seems so petty now I couldn't even remember the details. He answered on the second ring. Arthur? Jamie. I hadn't called him that since we were kids. I need you. What happened? I told him everything. When I finished, there was a long silence. Marcus Harrington, James said finally. You're talking about the real estate guy, owns half of downtown Denver. I know who he is, Jamie. I know what I'm asking. James had spent 30 years with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. He'd retired 5 years ago, moved to a cabin in Montana, said he was done with corruption and rich men who thought money made them untouchable. But I knew my brother. That instinct for justice, it didn't just turn off. Where are you right now? He asked. Still at the resort. About to drive to Denver. Don't wait for me. Don't talk to Derek. Don't talk to Marcus. Don't talk to anyone. I'm 3 hours away. I'm leaving now. Jamie, I need to be with Sarah. I know, but I also need you to trust me. If Marcus Harrington tried to kill your daughter, this isn't his first time. Men like that, they have patterns. And if we're going to destroy him, we need to be smart. Can you wait 3 hours? I looked back at the cliff where Sarah had fallen. I thought about Derek's face, too calm, too controlled. I thought about Marcus's practiced sympathy. I'll wait, I said. Those 3 hours were the longest of my life. I sat in my rental car in the resort parking lot, refusing to go inside, refusing to talk to anyone. Derek came out once, tried to approach me. I locked the doors. He stood there for a moment, then walked away. Marcus sent his assistant, a nervous young woman who knocked on my window and said Mr. Harrington wanted to extend his deepest sympathies and offer to cover all medical expenses. I didn't even look at her. James arrived in his old truck, still wearing the flannel shirt and jeans he probably had on when I called. He was grayer than I remembered, lines deeper around his eyes, but those eyes were still sharp, still taking in everything. He got in my car. We sat in silence for a minute. Tell me again, he said, every detail. Don't leave anything out. So I did. This time I included the looks between Derek and Marcus the night before. The way Derek had shown his father something on his phone. Sarah's hesitation when she said Derek was happy about the pregnancy. The way Derek's hands were too steady after Sarah fell. James listened without interrupting. When I finished, he pulled out a tablet, started typing notes. Okay, he said. Here's what I think is happening. Sarah being pregnant threatens something. Could be money, could be control, could be both. You said Derek showed Marcus something on his phone last night. My guess? A prenup. Or a trust fund document. Something that changes if Sarah's pregnant. So they tried to kill her? If I'm right about these men, they didn't try. They planned to. This wasn't impulse. This was calculated. Which means there's evidence. Financial records, communications, maybe even a history of similar incidents. What do? First, we go to the hospital. We stay by Sarah's side, and we act devastated but cooperative. We don't accuse anyone. We let them think we believe it was an accident. I can't do that. I can't look at Derek and pretend. Yes, you can. Because while they think we're beaten down, I'm going to dig. I'm going to find out everything about Marcus Harrington's past. Every business deal, every lawsuit, every relationship. If he's done this before, I'll find it. James looked at me. But Arthur, you need to understand. If we do this, we're going to war with a man who has hundreds of millions of dollars in connections everywhere. He'll come after us with everything he has. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Sarah lying in a hospital bed, about my grandchild who might never be born. I thought about Derek's flat voice saying she lost control. I'm prepared. We drove to Denver in convoy, James following me in his truck. The hospital was Denver Health Medical Center, one of the best trauma centers in the region. I found Sarah in the ICU, surrounded by machines, her head wrapped in bandages, her leg in an external fixator. A doctor met me in the hallway. Mr. Patterson, I'm Dr. Ramirez. Your daughter is in critical condition. She has a severe concussion, fractures to her skull and left femur, 3 broken ribs, and we're monitoring for internal bleeding. We've got her in a medically induced coma to reduce brain swelling. The baby? Dr. Ramirez's face fell. I'm sorry. The trauma was too severe. The pregnancy didn't survive. I had to sit down. The hallway tilted. James caught my arm, steadied me. "Can I see her?" I asked. "Of course, but she won't be able to hear you. We'll keep her sedated for at least 48 hours. I sat beside Sarah's bed and held her hand. It was cold, small. I thought about when she was little, how her hand used to fit entirely in my palm. I thought about teaching her to ride a bike, to drive a car, to trust people. I failed her. James stood in the doorway, giving me space. After a while, he said quietly, "I'm going to make some calls. I'll be back in an hour." I nodded, not taking my eyes off Sarah. Derek showed up around 7 that evening. He walked in with a bouquet of roses, his face arranged in an expression of concern. A lawyer followed him, a woman in an expensive suit. "Arthur," Derek said, "I'm so sorry. This is devastating. I keep replaying it, wondering if there was anything I could have done differently." I looked at him. Didn't say anything. "The doctors say she's stable," he continued. "That's good news. My father wanted me to tell you that we're covering all medical costs, of course. Anything Sarah needs." "Get out," I said. "Arthur, I know you're upset, but get out." The lawyer stepped forward. "Mr. Patterson, I'm Jennifer Colton representing the Harrington family. We want to assure you that we're cooperating fully with the ski patrol investigation. However, I would caution you about making statements that could be considered defamatory." I stood up. I'm not a violent man. Never have been. But in that moment, if that lawyer had said one more word, I might have changed that. James appeared in the doorway. "I think they heard you the first time, Arthur." He looked at Derek. "I'm James Patterson, Arthur's brother, former FBI, and I'm very interested in your statement about what happened on that mountain." Derek's face went pale. "I've already given my statement to Ski Patrol." "I'm sure you have, but I have a feeling there's a lot more to talk about." Derek and his lawyer left. James came in, closed the door. "I made calls," he said. "Marcus Harrington's first wife died 15 years ago. Skiing accident at this same resort. She went off a cliff, broke her neck. It was ruled accidental. My blood went cold. He's done this before. Maybe." I tracked down the ski patrol member who responded to that call. He's retired now, living in Grand Junction. I'm driving out there tomorrow to talk to him. Over the next 4 days, Sarah remained unconscious. I sat beside her bed, holding her hand, watching the monitors track her vitals. Derek visited twice more, each time with his lawyer. I said nothing to either of them. Marcus sent flowers, cards, fruit baskets. I threw them all away. James was working. He called me every evening with updates. "The ski patrol guy from 15 years ago," James said on day 3. "His name is Tom Weber. He told me off the record that Marcus's first wife, her name was Linda, had bruises on her wrists. Not from the fall, from being grabbed. Hard. Tom put it in his report. That report disappeared from the official file. Jesus, there's more. I found Linda's sister. She lives in California now. She told me Linda had been planning to file for divorce. She'd found out Marcus was having an affair, and she wanted out. Colorado is an equitable distribution state. Linda would have gotten half of everything, about $80 million at the time. So he killed her. I can't prove it yet, but I'm going to try." On day 5, Dr. Ramirez told me they were going to bring Sarah out of the coma, see if she could breathe on her own. I held her hand as they reduced the medications. Her eyes fluttered, opened. Confusion, fear, then recognition. "Dad," she whispered. "I'm here, baby. You're safe." She blinked, tears running down her face. "Derek," he stopped. He blocked me. "Dad, it wasn't an accident." "I know. I saw it. The baby." Her hand moved to her stomach. "Is the baby?" I couldn't speak. She saw it in my face. The monitors started alarming. Nurses rushed in, sedated her again. Through the window, I watched my daughter sob silently, and something inside me went from anger to something colder. Something final. James called that evening. I found a forensic accountant who used to work for Harrington Properties. Guy named Paul Chen. He got fired 2 years ago for asking too many questions about offshore accounts. He's willing to talk. What did he find? Marcus has been moving money through shell companies in the Caymans. Millions of dollars that should have been reported to the IRS. Tax evasion at minimum, possibly money laundering. But here's the interesting part. Derek has a trust fund worth $60 million. It vests when he turns 40 next year. But there's a clause. If he's married at that time and his wife is pregnant or has given birth, she's entitled to $30 million in case of divorce. Understanding hit me. Sarah told him she was pregnant the morning before the ski trip, and suddenly he's looking at losing $30 million if the marriage doesn't work out. Arthur, I found Derek's financial records. 3 weeks before your trip, he met with a divorce attorney. He was already planning to leave Sarah, but the pregnancy trapped him. So they decided to solve the problem. That's what I think. But we need more. We need physical evidence. We need witnesses. We need to make Marcus nervous enough to make a mistake. James came back to Denver the next day. We met in a hospital cafeteria that smelled like disinfectant and bad coffee. I've been talking to journalists, he said. People I worked with at the Bureau. I've given them background information. Marcus's first wife's death, the missing ski patrol report, the offshore accounts, Paul Chen's allegations. Tomorrow, the Denver Post is running a story. Not accusing anyone, just raising questions. They'll know it came from us. Good. Let them know. Scared people make mistakes. The story ran on Sunday morning. Questions surround real estate mogul's past. It detailed Linda Harrington's death, the missing evidence, the financial irregularities Paul Chen had discovered. It mentioned Sarah's accident in the context of Marcus Harrington's history. Marcus held a press conference that afternoon. I watched it from Sarah's hospital room. He was smooth, sympathetic, wounded. These allegations are completely baseless, he said. My first wife's death was thoroughly investigated and ruled accidental. I'm saddened that someone would use my family's tragedy for what appears to be a vendetta. As for my daughter-in-law's accident, we are cooperating fully with authorities, and our hearts break for what she's going through. He was good, almost believable. Then my phone rang. James. Turn on Channel 9, he said. I found the channel. A press conference was starting. Tom Weber, the retired ski patrol member, stood at a podium. His hands shook slightly. My name is Tom Weber, he said. 15 years ago, I responded to a skiing accident at Blackstone Summit Resort. Linda Harrington had gone off a cliff and died. I documented bruising on her wrists and defensive wounds on her hands. I noted in my report that the injuries were inconsistent with an accidental fall. That report was removed from the official file after Marcus Harrington met with my supervisor. I was told to keep quiet or lose my job. I kept quiet for 15 years. Today, I'm breaking my silence. The room went quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat. James called again. That's not all. I found 2 more people. A former business partner of Marcus's who said Marcus threatened him physically during a deal. And a woman named Rebecca Torres. She worked at Blackstone Summit as an instructor 12 years ago. She says Marcus sexually assaulted her, then paid her $50,000 to sign an NDA. She's willing to break it. Can you prove Derek was involved in Sarah's fall? I found someone who was on the service road that morning. A maintenance worker named Bill Chavez. He saw the whole thing through binoculars. He saw Derek stop deliberately, saw him block Sarah's path. He tried to report it, but the resort's head of security told him to keep quiet. Bill's willing to testify now. Over the next 2 weeks, everything unraveled for the Harringtons. The Colorado Attorney General opened an investigation into Linda Harrington's death. The IRS started looking at Marcus's offshore accounts. Derek was arrested and charged with attempted murder. Marcus held one more press conference. His hands shook, his voice cracked. He called it a conspiracy, blamed business rivals, blamed me. Nobody believed him. Sarah woke up fully on day 12. She was weak, in pain, devastated by the loss of her baby, but she was alive. When the detectives came to interview her, she told them everything. How Derek had shown her a prenup the day before the trip, telling her she needed to sign it. How when she'd told him about the pregnancy, his face had gone cold. How she'd heard him on the phone with his father saying, "We need to handle this before it's too late." The trial took 11 months. I sat in that courtroom every single day. Derek's lawyers tried everything. They said Sarah had misunderstood what she heard, that she'd lost control on the slope because she was reckless, that she was making accusations because the miscarriage had made her emotionally unstable. Sarah testified for 6 hours. She was calm, clear, devastating. When she described seeing Derek deliberately block her path, Seeing the calculating look in his eyes as she went over the edge, the jury leaned forward in their seats. The forensic evidence backed her up. Derek's skis showed no sign of binding malfunction. The snow analysis showed he'd stopped on purpose, not because of equipment failure. Bill Chavez testified he saw Derek look back at Sarah, saw him watch her go over, saw him wait 5 seconds before calling for help. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty. Attempted murder, first-degree assault, reckless endangerment. Marcus's trial came next. James had built a case that would make a prosecutor weep. First-degree murder in Linda's death, conspiracy to commit murder in Sarah's case, tax evasion, money laundering, witness intimidation. The trial took 14 months, but the verdict was the same. Guilty on all counts. I was there when they read the verdict. Marcus Harrington's face went white, then red, then collapsed. For the first time in his life, money and connections couldn't save him. He looked across the courtroom and found me. Our eyes met. I didn't smile, didn't gloat. I just looked at him and hoped he understood. This is what happens when you hurt someone's child. 2 years have passed. Sarah is healing. Not quickly, not easily, but healing. She walks with a slight limp now. The external fixator left scars. The nightmares are less frequent, but they haven't stopped. She sees a therapist twice a week, takes it day by day. She sold her wedding ring, donated the money to a domestic violence shelter. She went back to school, got her MBA. She's working as a financial analyst now, helping companies identify fraud. She says if she can help stop even one person like Marcus, it'll be worth it. She doesn't date, says she's not ready. I don't push. James and I talk every week now. That stupid fight about Mom's estate seems like it happened in another lifetime. He's back to consulting work, helping the FBI track financial criminals. Says retirement was boring anyway. Derek is serving 35 years in federal prison. His appeals have been denied. Marcus got life without parole for Linda's murder. The Harrington empire collapsed. Property sold at auction, assets seized by the IRS. Everything they built on lies and blood, gone. Sometimes Sarah asks me if what we did was revenge or justice. I tell her it's both, and I tell her that's okay. Because here's what I learned. Being quiet doesn't mean being weak. For 40 years, I built bridges and stayed out of conflicts. I was the man who didn't make waves, who didn't cause problems. People like the Harringtons counted on that. They counted on people like me being too afraid, too passive, too civilized to fight back. But they forgot something. I'm an engineer. I understand structures. I understand stress points, load capacity, where a single crack can bring everything down. I spent my career building things that last. When I decide to tear something down, I know exactly where to start. Sarah and I have dinner every Sunday now. We don't talk about Derek or Marcus. We don't talk about that cliff. We talk about her work, about a conference she's speaking at next month, about the future. Last Sunday, she told me she'd been on a coffee date. A colleague from work, another analyst. Nothing serious, she said. Just coffee. What did you think? I asked. She smiled. For the first time in 2 years, it reached her eyes. I think I might try again. Coffee. See where it goes. Trust your instincts, I told her. I will. And Dad? She squeezed my hand. I know you're always watching out for me. Always, I said. The truth is, I'll never stop. That's what fathers do. We build lives for our children. We create safe spaces for them to grow. And when someone tries to destroy what we've built, when they try to harm what we love most in this world, we don't just get angry, we get systematic. Marcus Harrington believed his money made him untouchable. Derek believed his father's power would protect him. They thought people like me, quiet professionals who follow rules and avoid conflict, would be easy to intimidate and silence. They were wrong. The most dangerous people are often the ones you underestimate. I spent 40 years building bridges, understanding physics, calculating force and resistance. I know how to find the weak point in any structure. I know how to apply pressure exactly where it will do the most damage. Marcus built his empire on corruption and violence. I tore it down with patience and truth. He thought wealth and connections made him powerful. I showed him that justice, when backed by evidence and determination, is the only power that matters. This is a story about what happens when you push a quiet man too far, when you hurt his child, When you mistake patience for weakness. It's a story about two men who thought they could get away with murder. They learned they were wrong. Thank you for watching this video. Share your thoughts in the comments. I truly value every story and every voice. Don't forget to subscribe to Voices of Uncle Arthur and share this video with your friends and family. Your support means everything.